One of the gems with the most love-hate relationships are opals, and today we're going to be talking about what to look for when shopping for one. Opals are definitely one of the most unique and mysterious gems. We have theories on how they're formed in nature, but scientists still really don't know for sure. They have a lot of very unique qualities compared to other gems in the trade, and there are a few different traits that they have. The first one is that they're actually amorphous, and this means they don't have a traditional crystal structure like most other gems. They also contain a large amount of water, which means it's very important that you maintain their humidity when you're wearing them and storing them, because if they're kept in kind of dry conditions, they can lose their water, which means they will have cracks, and this is called crazing. They are tiny little spider web-like cracks and they can't be repaired, so this is very important. One thing that can really help with storing opals is using a silk pouch, because the silk as a natural material isn't going to draw the moisture out of the opal, and it's going to help maintain its humidity when you keep it in your jewelry box. So the third very unique trait about opals are their phenomena, which is referred to as play of color. And it's something that almost no other gem has. Sometimes with moonstones, you can see that they do have adulorescence, but it's similar and not exactly the same. And while you can find opals that don't have play of color, these are generally referred to as Potch Opals. It's definitely the thing that we know about opals the best. And so in general, when you're looking for them, you want that beautiful, vibrant play of color. The amorphous structure also means that you're usually going to find them cut into cabochons, that nice round dome shape. It has become a little more trendy to see them as faceted stones. That's kind of more a collector's item, or if you really love opals, something unique that you might want to look for. But in general, you're going to see them cut as cabochons because it does help show off their play of color in the best possible way. One of the interesting things about this stone is that 95% of people are going to think of opals as those white opals that we most traditionally see on the market, and especially in the commercial market. They're the most common. They do have, lower value generally than most other varieties. But the thing to know is opals actually have just a giant variety of different background colors, phenomena, different plays of color that you can come across. And so if you think that you don't like opals, it might just because you haven't seen some of the more interesting ones that are available. Because opals do come in such a wide variety, of course, this gives them a very wide range when it comes to their values and the different price points that you're going to see them at, both in jewelry and loose on the market. One of the most common opal varieties that does not have play of color, of course, are fire opals. And just because they don't have play of color, they are probably one of the more valuable Potch opals available. And they come in actually a wide variety of yellow, orange, and red hues. And because they don't have that phenomena, the background color and the body color in general is going to be that much more important. So when you're looking at fire opals, you definitely want those bright, fire-like saturated colors, a very nice clarity, and you're going to want them to look very fiery and just have a very even, beautiful color. Again, with the background and body colors, the ones we are most familiar with are those white background opals, and they are the most cost efficient, they are the easiest to find, the least rare. But there are actually beautiful transparent opals, and they're sometimes referred to as jelly opals or crystal opals, and they have basically a very jellyfish-like appearance because they're clear, and then you see those vibrant rainbow hues that come through in the play of color, so they're quite stunning. And then you can have a wide variety of gray, black, blue, brown background of opals, and the most rare and expensive are definitely black opals, especially from the Lightning Ridge area of Australia. And they're the most rare and most valuable because those very dark black, which can sometimes appear blue, backgrounds give the highest contrast to the beautiful rainbow-like play of color. Now, thinking about the play of color, there is also just a huge variety of different plays of color that you can see in an opal. But in general, when you're looking at them, you want the patches of color to be very well distributed through the stone. You don't want it to be concentrated in one area. You want it to be kind of covering the entire surface. And ideally, those patches of color are going to be very even and kind of well divided, kind of like a checkerboard. In the trade, we call it a harlequin pattern, which helps you think of that kind of evenly distributed checkerboard type of look. But there's also, a pinpoint pattern, which is obviously, slight dots of color, but if they're very well distributed and there's lots of pinpoints in the stone, they can also be very valuable and sought after. And then lastly, you can also have, a large patch or flash of color. And because it's such a huge patch, and if it covers most of, the surface of a cabochon, for example, this can also be very desirable, especially if it's in a pink or red color. The pink and red hues are definitely the most rare when we're looking at the play of color. And the least rare are kind of those green colors, and in the middle is probably the blue and more purple tones. So the more pink or red you have an opal in general, the more sought after it's going to be versus an opal that maybe only has the greenish or kind of bluish colors. I like to think of it as the northern lights. It's the same kind of rarity that you see in the sky. You more often see the green colors and least often see the pink or red. So it just makes it all the more special. So again, opals in general are just very subjective. They can be extremely unique, very beautiful, and some people are just very much drawn to them because they do have that kind of otherworldly appearance. They have been called the universe stone throughout history because looking at them can feel like looking into another world or a galaxy. And for others, they're just not attracted to them at all. They're a little bit too out there, and they don't have that classic look of sometimes a beautiful gem that some people are looking for. But if you are in the market for an opal, either loose or opal jewelry, I would definitely say open your mind and look at a variety of different sources because there are just so many different opals out there. And they are special because they do feel very one of a kind. I don't think you're ever going to see two opals that are exactly the same. And while it's definitely up to you what you're attracted to, yes, when you're looking at price points, you're definitely going to see very, high price points for those darker background colors that have a lot of contrast and beautiful flashes and bright, even play of color with those pink and red colors versus a creamy or white opal that has a more muted play of color with more green and less pink and red tones. Thank you for watching, and to learn more about gemstones and jewelry, visit our main page at winstongemsandjewelry.com.